There's a lot of work that goes into making this thing come to life. I think we brought in, I don't know the exact number, but it's a lot of tryout guys. It's a chasing edges thing that we believe in here, and we found some really great players to be on our kind of 120 idea over the years, and it's a pretty big undertaking, for some edges that we're trying to find. But so I appreciate those people. Coaches did a great job. We had great spirit. Players did a great job. Really took a jump this second practice and started to look like professional football out there, which is exciting. So.
We talk about the excitement of the draft picks and the free agent rookies and those guys coming to camp. But, Chris, how about the tryout guys, man? The guys that are just – you talk about absolutely chasing a dream. Mm-hmm. You just want to get one little invite, and you get out there and you have your opportunity to live a dream.
You mentioned the word opportunity. We had former Prep Zone athlete G. Scott Jr. was out there, played at Ohio State with Jackson Smith and Jigba. He looked great out there, Paul. So, yeah, they're getting an opportunity. Coaches are taking notes, and we saw it last season with this Seahawks team, Paul. They want depth. They want depth on that practice squad. They want players they can reach out to, and that's what they're doing during this camp. And we'll see it phase 2, I think, begins today already for the Seahawks. No rest for this team.
Yeah, I mean, if any tryout guy is going to pick a team to try out for, it is the Seahawks, because Mike McDonald loves to give everybody an opportunity and everybody a look. Let's bring in Maura Dooley of Seattle Sports 710. Maura, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Maura, listen, we know you spent the weekend at Seahawks rookie camp. We got to hear from the Hawks draft picks. Can you give us your impression of a few players at camp?
Yeah, I mean, I love this class. I think they did a really good job of finding really experienced players that are going to fit so well in their system. Jadarian Price just looked so effortless and fluid out there. I really didn't see him getting corrected in a lot of the drills the way that some guys were. He just already seemed like a pro. And it was great to see him get some pass catching in, because I know that's something that they'd like him to round out his game a little more with. Just wasn't something that happened a lot at Notre Dame for him. And like you guys talked, I heard you guys talking before I came on. Bud Clark and Julian Neal are just so full of personality. I can't wait to see how that blends when the veterans get there. And I also enjoyed watching Bo Stevens, the guard that they took. He definitely seemed like he had some burst coming up out of his stance in some of the drills where they have a guy hold the pad and he charges at them. So it looks like this is going to be a really good fit.
Yeah, Maura, I want to get more involved with Bud Clark and Julian Neal with you in a second. You and I were there watching the running backs, and Jadarian Price, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, he looks like he's NFL ready right now when we watched him out there on Friday.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like I said, the coaches, I didn't think had many notes for him either. It seems like he's got a pretty good grasp on at least these early stages. I'm sure that there'll be some pass protection things that all rookies have to work on. But yeah, he looked fantastic. I do think I heard them say that he came in at around 203 and they would like him to get closer to 210. Mm-hmm. So I could see him putting on a little bit of weight, but he looks to be in very good shape.
You mentioned Bo Stevens and in working with the offensive line. I thought it was interesting in his post-game comments on Friday, and he talked about actually his familiarity with the Seahawks offense, and he gave a lot of credit to his coaches at Iowa. I want to get your thoughts on that in a sec, Maura, but let's listen to Bo Stevens first as he talked about that, coming to Seattle and having a little Iowa knowledge with the Seahawks.
I'm really thankful for Coach Lester, at Iowa. A lot of it's the same. A lot of it's similar, a lot of same words. There's definitely some differences. There's definitely more complexity. But I feel like I've gotten a great starting point, and it's very helpful, because I'm sure some of these guys that have never heard anything like how we did it at Iowa or here, coming in for that first meeting, you hear it, they're kind of like mind blown, like how different it is. And I feel like I'm going to have a handle on it in the meantime. So.
Hey, Maura, we know that the Seahawks made a move to get up and get Bo Stevens. And, when you draft an offensive lineman from the Big Ten, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, you already have a good core of fundamentals that this kid is going to build on for sure.
Yeah, and I think offensive line is a position where the communication is paramount, as he said in his interview. And I think that having that head start is going to be so beneficial for him. And he's already got, a former teammate, Mason Richmond, on the team. So I think he's going to have a leg up on a position that's pretty hard to learn coming in as a rookie. It will be interesting because they did say they're going to train him at both right and left guard, which, can make things a little more complicated when you're first learning. But I think he's going to, give Anthony Bradford some competition at that right guard spot.
No question.
Yeah, you talked about Jadarian Price putting some weight on. We know Bud Clark was kind of hanging around 188 now. He was pretty proud when I talked to him the other day that he got up to 200, and he's putting some meat on those bones. Julian Neal looked really quick out there. When you look at those two guys just going through drills, and you noted it about Price, they do look like, man, they've kept themselves in shape because we know they're really busy in the offseason, answering a lot of questions, going to the combine, things like that. But how'd they look to you?
Oh, yeah, fantastic. I felt like I got to see Julian Neal in scrimmages a little bit more than I did Bud Clark. I'm so excited to see Bud Clark in pads because, he's a little bit smaller, but I've heard that he packs a punch and that he's kind of a ball hawk like Kobe Bryant was. So I know they're hoping he can fill some of that role. But Julian Neal, when I saw him in some scrimmages, I felt like he was really sticky. No matter where they lined him up, he was right on his man. He seems fast. He seems really just athletic. And so I'm excited to see him once we get, once he has to start to go against some of the starters and they get the vets in camp. But he looked really good against that rookie class.
Okay, Maura and Paul, I know you guys I love stories. I love great stories. And we go back to draft day, and Neal literally, we can't even make this up. It's like out of a Disney movie. He only gets one hat. He decides his aunt goes out and gets one hat. Happens to be a Seattle Seahawks hat. We had to ask him about that. Here's Neal talking about that one hat he had on draft weekend.
It was a certain company that they were supposed to send me all 32, and 2 days before draft day, my assistant texted me and said that it won't be there by the weekend. So I was just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So the day of the draft, the second day of the draft, I was like, all right, I got options. I can either get a couple or just get one. And I was just thinking about all my interviews and everything that I've been through. And plus my auntie, 12's fan, so I was just like, just go get me a Seahawks hat, auntie. Just go get me a Seahawks one. That's all I need. That's why, see, people don't realize that's why I was so juiced in my video. That's why I was so juiced, because I literally, it was just anticipation. I'm like, it really came true. That was a pure reaction, so, yeah. Because wherever she got it from, that hat was all bent and stuff, but I don't know where she got it from.
She's been a Seahawks fan for a while?
Yeah, she's been a Seahawks fan 12 years counting. Yeah, that hat going in the safe. That hat going in the glass safe, and it's gonna go right in the middle of my house. And the glass safe is gonna have lasers around it.
All right, Maura, you get to work with Brock and Salk every day, so you get laughs like this every day. But I'm telling you what, Julian and Bud, HBO Hard Knocks, how big of a story are these two going to be?
Oh, yeah, they're going to be stars for sure. And it's funny that it worked out this way because I feel like last year's rookie class was much quieter. So it's timing out perfectly that they're coming in with these guys that have so much personality. And I know that John Schneider said that they thought kind of back in the LOB days that the groups following that maybe had grown up watching the LOB a little too much and idolized those guys to the point where they were in awe of them. And they didn't want that to happen with this Super Bowl team. So they went out and got some guys that are definitely very confident. And it's just oozing out of Bud Clark and Julian Neal, and it's really fun.
It's going to be fun to watch for sure, yeah.